All wealth is the product of labor. Who lies for you will lie against you. The most precious of all possessions is power over ourselves. Don't let the thing you don't have prevent you from using what you do have. It is easier for a tutor to command than to teach. With books we stand on the shoulders of giants. The reason why men enter into society is the preservation of their property. The discipline of desire is the background of character. Consciousness is the perception of what passes in man's own mind. As people are walking all the time in the same spot, a path appears. There is frequently more to be learned from the unexpected questions of a child than the discourses of men. New opinions are always suspected and usually opposed without any other reason but because they are not already common. Every man has a property in his own person. This nobody has a right to but himself. Women are women and can't help themselves. Where there is no property, there is no injustice. How long have you been holding those words in your head, hoping to use them? The improvement of understanding is for two ends. First, our own increase of knowledge. Secondly, to enable us to deliver that knowledge to others. To prejudge others' men's notions before we have looked into them is not to show their darkness, but to put out our own eyes. Where all is but dream, reasoning and arguments are of no use, truth and knowledge nothing. All men are liable to error, and most men are, in many points, by passion or interest, under temptation to it. We are like chameleons. We take our hue and the color of our moral character from those who are around us. Our business here is not to know all things, but those which concern our conduct. Where there is no judge on earth, the appeal lies to God in heaven. Nothing was made by God for man to spoil or destroy. Nobody can give more power than he has himself, and he that cannot take away his own life cannot give another power over it. Age or virtue may give men a just precedency. I have always thought the actions of men the best interpreters of their thoughts. The dirt of evil is a much more foreseeable principle of human actions than the prospect of good. There are 1,000 ways to wealth, but only one way to heaven. Reading furnishes the mind only with materials of knowledge. It is thinking that makes what we read ours. It is one thing to show a man that he is in an error, and another to put him in possession of the truth. The visible mark of extraordinary wisdom and power appear so plainly in all the works of creation. The only defense against the world is a thorough knowledge of it. Fortitude is the guard and support of the other virtues. Nature never makes excellent things for mean or no uses. Few men think, yet all will have opinions. Hence, men's opinions are superficial and confused. Personal identity depends on consciousness, not on substance. Who are we to tell anyone what they can or can't do? We are born to be, if we please, rational creatures, but it is use and exercise only that makes us so. Women are cats and love to scratch even those they are fond of. Sometimes the more they love them, the harder they scratch. Practice conquers the habit of doing without reflecting on the rule. Truths are not the better nor the worse for their obviousness or difficulty, but their value is to be measured by their usefulness and tendency. Virtue is harder to be got than knowledge of the world, and, if lost in a young man, is seldom recovered. Try all things, hold fast that which is good. Seek to make the course regular, that man may know beforehand what they may expect. The speaking in perpetual hyperbole is calmly, in nothing but love. I pretend not to teach, but to inquire. I am sure zeal or love for truth can never permit falsehood to be used in the defense of it. You shall find that there cannot be a greater spur to the attaining what you would have the eldest learn and know himself than to set him upon teaching it his younger brothers and sisters. If a man be gracious and courteous to strangers, it shows he is a citizen of the world, and that his heart is no island cut off from other lands, but a continent that joins to them. The chief art of learning is to attempt but a little at a time. It is practice alone that brings the powers of the mind, as well as those of the body, to their perfection. Man is great fortunes and strangers to themselves, and while they are in the puzzle of business, they have no time to tend their health either of body or mind. Since the great foundation of fear is pain, the way to harden and fortify children against fear and danger is to accustom them to suffer pain. He who marries a real beauty is seeking terrible. Let not men think there is no truth, but in the sciences that they study, or the books that they read. He that uses his words loosely and unsteadily will either not be minded or not understood. God is the place of spirits, as space are the places of bodies. Knowledge is grateful to the understanding, as light to the eyes. He that will have his son have a respect for him and his orders must himself have a great reverence for his son. Education begins the gentleman, but reading, good company and reflection must finish him. Man is not permitted without censure to follow his own thoughts in the search of truth, when they lead him ever so little out of the common road. In the ditches of the place, set before thee the best examples, for imitation is a globe of precepts. The thoughts that come often unshod, and, as it were, drop into the mind, and commonly the most valuable of any we have, and therefore should be secured, because they seldom return again. A sound mind is a sound body, is a short but full description of a happy state in this world. Begin all equal and independent. No one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions. Revolt is the right of the people. Government has no other end than the preservation of property. Tyranny is the exercise of power beyond right. But there is only one thing which gathers people into seditious commotion, and that is oppression. No one can be put out of this state and subjected to the political power of another without his own consent.